As characters and gamers, women are frequently over-sexualized by male streamers and the gaming industry. Even those of us who aren't totally familiar with the world of gaming are likely to know Lara Croft, the famed protagonist of the Tomb Raider franchise. As she navigates through jungles and ruins, she is seen sporting tight and revealing outfits that, to be honest, aren't practical at all. Lara was the brainchild of Toby Gard, a lead graphic artist at Core Design. She first appeared in the video game in 1996, with Gard describing her as mysterious and having a sense of danger about her. Gard said that she differed from other female game characters at the time who were, quote, basically just sex objects. But ironically, a sex symbol is exactly what Lara Croft would become. Gard later left the Tomb Raider franchise over concerns that Lara was becoming too sexualized. At one point, they even changed the proportions of her figure so her breasts would appear bigger. While Lara has since been reimagined and has swapped out her shorts and crop top for pants and a tank top, she remains hypersexualized and continues to be viewed as a sex object, even though she's actually the hero of the game. Ultimately, this skewed portrayal of women in gaming, driven by top industry leaders, trickles down to the broader gaming community, leaving many female gamers isolated, uncomfortable, and insecure. Welcome to Let the Girls Game, a podcast mini-series where we explore the history and stories of women in gaming, powered by Let's Sing. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, and today we're diving into an experience that is all too common for female gamers: sexualization. And to help me explore this topic today, I am joined by Foss, also known as Maddie. So for anyone who doesn't know, Foss is a 22-year-old streamer and content creator. She started streaming in August 2021 and is best known for playing Minecraft, Fortnite, and Valorant. In that time, Maddie has developed a strong community on Twitch, becoming a Twitch partner in 2022. She continues to make content across Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube with cross-platform following of almost 2 million people. Without further ado, welcome to Maddie. Oh my God, I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Yes, me too. I love podcasts, so this is good.
Love. Do you go on podcasts often?
No, but I did study radio in TAFE for a while, and I had a podcast with my friend while we were in there, so I did miss it a little bit, yeah.
Love that, yeah. We are a big podcasting company here. I'm actually doing 10 podcasts this week.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a little bit unwell.
Booked and busy.
Yeah, literally. All right, so I have quite a few questions for you, obviously, about the topic. So we're going to be talking about the language and culture in online gaming communities and gameplay and how that kind of sexualizes and stereotypes women in gaming.
Yeah.
So obviously you have been involved in gaming for quite some time now. When did you first come to realize, or have you had kind of like a come to realization moment that female characters in games were portrayed differently to male characters?
It was definitely when I moved more away from like Minecraft and Fortnite, I would say, mainly because I think they're aimed more at children. So I feel like there's, especially in Minecraft, they're all block characters. You can't really sexualize a block. You know?
Yes.
It's a bit of a special thing to be able to do. But when I started playing Valorant specifically and Overwatch, like the female characters in those games are wildly sexualized compared to everyone else. Like, if you look, how much can I say on this?
You can say whatever.
Okay, cool. Because like, especially in Overwatch, like if you go and look at Steam reviews on Overwatch, it is all about it basically just being a porn game.
Oh my
because
God.
all of the female characters are just so overtly sexualized. I'm pretty sure one of them, their butt literally got bigger when they altered. At one point, it was a bug that they had to fix. But yeah, that was probably when my eyes were open and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, it's quite a switch.
Yeah. So what are some common stereotypes or tropes you've noticed in the portrayal of female characters in video games?
I mean, in comparison to the male characters, especially, like you said with Lara Croft, it's always the clothing, it's always the proportions, they're always that ideal hourglass figure that is, one, unattainable for women, and two, just gross. Like, and yeah, that's probably the biggest thing is the way they look, which then I guess encourages men almost to sexualize them overtly. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. In a profile for Forbes, they write, quote, female character representation in video games is lacking with only 5% of video games showcasing female protagonists. Various studies reveal that gender stereotypes continue to prevail in video games, with female characters often objectified and hypersexualized. And when not depicted in this manner, female characters are often portrayed as a love interest, innocent, or needing to be rescued by a male character. Other examples of tropes, I suppose not just kind of like physically, but other tropes include damsel in distress, women as a reward, women as background decoration, but not actually in the plot. So how would you say that, like thinking of those tropes and those stereotypes, then how would, how do those tropes and stereotypes in gaming make you feel as a woman in gaming?
I mean, it's kind of anger inducing a little bit because it's kind of reducing us down to our bodies and our physicality and not who we are as people. Like, even when you have a female protagonist who's strong, like Lara Croft, as you said, they are so sexualized, and it's like, oh, well, you can play the game, but only because she's got a good butt. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what you get to stare at the entire time you play the game. But it also just, yeah, it really does just make women into an object, sort of, which then almost tells people online that you can also treat with female gamers as an object and treat them however you want, which is obviously not the case because we're humans.
Yes. And I'm sure that contributes to a big problem. I mean, I understand like women in gaming face so much harassment and so many issues like that. I'm sure this all contributes to that.
100%. Yeah.
Have those portrayals, have they ever, I guess, impacted your enjoyment playing games?
I guess a little bit, yeah. I mean, especially when I was younger playing video games, it's like all you want is to see someone who looks like you or like a woman on the screen being a badass, being able to do all of these things. And when you're younger and you don't have that representation on screen, I guess it's kind of hard to believe that you are more than just an object or more than just what a stereotypical woman should be. And then, yeah, even growing up, it's kind of like you have to change your own mindset and be like, it's just a video game. At the end of the day, like a woman can do what they want. But it's still hard to have that nailed in you every day, especially if you are an avid gamer.
Exactly, for sure. Are there any specific examples of female characters in games that you feel challenge those traditional stereotypes that we've seen?
Well, that's a good question. I honestly would say a lot of the characters, I know I said like in Valorant they are sexualized, but I do think there are some characters in Valorant who aren't, which do go against it. Such as like Sage is not, I would say, overtly sexualized physically, although she is a healer, so, you know, everyone's like, oh, your job is just to heal everyone. Yeah, I do only really play a lot of Valorant and Fortnite generally, so there's not a whole lot that I think I can personally speak on that for.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah.
Do you remember, I think it was a couple years ago, there was so much discourse on Twitter when the protagonist for Horizon Zero Dawn came out and she had like peach fuzz and like looked like a normal woman. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That was actually like horrific to watch how people were talking about her and like men were so angry that she like looked like a regular person.
Literally. Yeah, they're like, how dare you not look like my ideal woman?
Literally.
God, why would I choose to play you? It's like, dude, there are such bigger issues in the world. Like, just take a chill pill, sit down.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely an eye-opening moment. I mean, hopefully for the industry, but I think it was a good, like, a good start to some change, I think, as well. So I'm curious how you decide which character to choose when you're playing.
I mean, I don't go off looks or anything like that. I go off ability and what sort of coincides with my ability in video games. I'm not necessarily very good at video games. I'm not known for being skilled at them, so I kind of just pick one character and main that depending on ability. But yeah, it's never really looks or anything like that. I go off their strength or stuff like that. I will say when I first started playing games, I would always play a female character because that was just, I saw myself on the screen, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't pick a male character. Obviously,
like you wanted to identify with her.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I actually did have the Lara Croft games when I was a kid on my PlayStation 4.
So have you noticed any gendered language while streaming or watching streams by women gamers? And the reason why I ask that is because according to a 2017 study from the University of Indiana Academics, the average female streamer on Twitch is more likely to receive objectifying comments about their appearance compared to their male counterparts. Male streamers tend to receive comments around gameplay, on the other hand. What's your experience been with that?
Yeah. I mean, as a streamer, you sort of like have to expect that you're going to have people harassing you, but it's, which is kind of depressing to be honest to say that, but it's definitely, most of the harassment has always been on how I look, which is
really
weird. Yeah. Well, because there's already that toxic thing in gaming that women aren't good at gaming. So it's like, you can say I'm shit, but I'll be like, yeah, well, yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. But like, I'll be wearing a hoodie and I'll have someone come into chat and be like, nice tits. And it's like, where are you getting that from? You know what I mean? They just say it to get a reaction. Like I once had a chatter come in, start harassing me on my appearance. So I obviously banned them. And then they started sending me donos because they read text to speech into my stream. So they basically started paying me to say derogatory things to me. So I was like, I mean, pay up, but also like, like that's a lot of dedication.
So those are just things that like men would probably not have to experience.
Not necessarily. Like I have a lot of really, really good male gamer friends and like, I mean, people don't come in and be like, hey, nice penis. Like, that's just not what people do. Like, you know what I mean? It's always been like, dude, you're shit at the game. And they're like, okay.
Thanks,
I guess. But it's very, very rarely sexual harassment for men.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel? Is that difficult to deal with? Or are you used to it now?
I mean, it's kind of sad to say I'm used to it. But, like, after a certain amount of time, you kind of grow a thicker skin towards some of those sort of, I don't want to say like lighter comments, but there's definitely worse ones you can get where it's like, okay, I'm quitting, I'm turning off stream, I can't get through that anymore. So I'd say I'm pretty good at dealing with a lot of it. I'm pretty tough with a lot of it, mainly because I just have good comebacks and it's like, oh, I can make this funny, good content. But like it's when they get to the really dark sort of just not even banter anymore, it's like threatening you that it's not okay. And that like starts to get you, especially when it's over and over and over again, you really start, your self-worth just like plummets a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have a community of other women that game that you can kind of like talk with about this and support each other?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have a closer community of women because of Maybelline's. I don't know if you know Maybelline's event that I did. Yeah. So their Eyes Up tournament and stuff like that. Obviously, I worked with them pretty closely, and it was really great to meet a lot of other female gamers who, you know, have the same experiences as you, because you can kind of chat and talk about it, and it just helps to sort of vent sometimes to get that out. And yeah, I've also had in like Discord chats as well, like people asking for advice. They've been like, hey, this person said this in my chat. Is this a bannable thing? Should I just ban them? And then it's been women being like, do it. Just ban them. Get it over with. It's all good. So it's been nice to have people, like we're almost like sisters to each other, giving each other advice and stuff. Yeah. It's been nice.
Good.
Like, yeah, one of my really good friends went through a really, really horrible situation on Twitter. And it was like there were some really, really horrible things in the Twitter comments, obviously, but it was also nice to see the community sort of rise up around her and be like, well, this isn't okay. Like, when we can't say this and say it's banter and say that that's okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a community of us all supporting each other, which is a little bit helpful.
No, for sure. That's so great. Do you think that platforms have a responsibility to address gendered language and promote more inclusive streaming environments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like, honestly, I would go so far as to say that if a platform or a game isn't taking the most measures they can to stop women being harassed and literally threatened online, then they're complicit, because you have the ability. You have the ability to stand up and say this isn't okay, and you're choosing to stay quiet to stay out of controversy. And it's like, hey, this isn't controversy. This is women's safety and women's rights. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So 100%, I think that it's great that a lot of companies who are very female-based have sort of spoken up about it. I think that now more male-based companies need to also take a stand and actually speak to the guys and be like, hey, men, this isn't okay. Because it's not all men, but 99% of the time, it is men.
For sure.
And just encouraging guys to hold their friends accountable and say that, you know, this sort of banter and this sort of treatment of other people is not okay.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. We don't just see it in gaming. We see it across the board with like moderation on social media, right? It's like until there's like literally laws in place. They're not going
Yeah.
to do anything about it because it's going to cost so much money for them to implement proper moderation across the board that why would they do that in their minds? Why would we do this until we absolutely have to? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the people who make the laws and all these regulations have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yes, exactly. And it's so silly because they'll be like, oh, yes, we've noticed this is happening and we recognize that it's happening. And then that's where it ends. And then
Yeah.
they'll be like, but also here's an update that no one asked for. It's like, dude, come
Like,
on.
thanks.
Like, you literally, I'm like, we're all begging to just be treated with respect
Yeah.
and like actual equality, not,
Yeah.
oh, this is equality. Yeah, so companies and games and video games have a responsibility to stand up for women as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Maddie.
Thank
This
you for
was
having me.
so great to hear kind of a little bit about your perspective on the industry and your journey. Where can people find you? Plug whatever you want.
Oh, everything. On most platforms, I'm just OG and then Foss, Phos. On Twitch, I'm just Foss. So yeah,
Love
come say
that.
hi.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Maddie for speaking with me today. Thank you to Let's Sing for powering this mini-series. And thank you to you for listening to Let the Girls Game. Tune in next week for our last episode of this mini-series where we look to the future of women in gaming.